All right, Miss Debbie, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I'm just, technology is always kind of fun, but
Yes.
yeah, until it doesn't work. But no, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for your patience and for having me here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And I'm really excited to get to know a little bit more about you because I found you
Yeah.
not too long ago. Maybe about the time that I sent you your email. I think it was only a day or two after I sent you that initial email or Facebook or
Yeah,
Instagram
no,
message that
no,
that I found you.
you booked me on pretty quick. So
Yeah.
I was really impressed.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Absolutely. So as I kind of mentioned before, I have your bio as a clip at the beginning here. But
Okay.
just for some people who may have skipped past that or maybe just want a little bit more information, can you give me just a little bit of background on who you are, what you do, the kind of work that you do?
Oh yeah, sure. Well, my work's kind of unusual. I think I'm kind of like a niche in my own sense, but my name is Debbie Solaris, and I started doing this work a few years ago after I had an ET contact experience. And it seemed like before that, I was not psychic or had any kind of
Mhm.
extrasensory perception type skills. But then after that, it was like everything came online. I am a galactic historian, a Akashic records reader. I also do. I call myself a starseed intuitive. So I do intuitive work with star seeds and other light workers. And I'm an ET contactee. So that's me in a nutshell.
Okay. Okay. I understand you were also on the Gaia program. Fair. When was the last time you were on the Gaia program? Was that kind of recently?
Yes. My first show on Gaia was on Beyond Belief, and that was aired back in October. I recently did another taping on Open Minds with Regina Meredith, and that show is actually going to be airing on June 10th. So
Oh,
next
okay.
week. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. I might have to tune
Um,
into that.
yeah. Then I'm doing another taping on June 11th with Beyond Belief again.
Okay.
So I guess they liked me. They wanted me to come back. So
Right.
and then
That's always a
I
plus.
think I might do another show on Open Mind. So it looks like I'm becoming a regular on Gaia.
Yeah, that's very cool. That's really
Yeah.
interesting. I'm pretty jealous actually that
Yeah.
that you get to just
Yeah.
get on
Yeah. It
these cool
is.
TV programs that have tons of viewers and get to just tell your story. Essentially, that's
Oh,
that's
I know it
that's
is.
the
It's
goal.
kind of fun. Yeah, and you get the star treatment while you're there. They treat you
Yeah,
like a VIP. Yeah. They even send a driver to pick you up. I mean, it's
really.
really. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's
Wow.
even though I'm local. I live maybe about an hour's drive from their headquarters because I
Very
live
cool.
just south of Denver, and they're
Okay.
in Boulder, or just south of Boulder. And they'll send a driver to pick you up, and I'm like, damn, this is pretty nice. I don't even have to worry about fighting traffic or getting up there.
Yeah.
So
Wow. That's
yeah,
that's really awesome.
yeah,
Wow. So you kind of mentioned a couple minutes ago that you're an ET contactee.
yeah.
Can you give me a little bit of background on I guess on the ET contact? Do you have a story on how exactly that happened, or do you know what
Yeah,
ET
yeah.
contacted you?
Yeah, it's an interesting story actually, and it happened back in 2012. Before that, I was a total non-believer. I didn't believe in any of this sort of thing. My husband was more into the paranormal and UFOs.
Right.
I just casually would sometimes read some of the articles that he would read, but I wasn't a believer. I was actually pretty much a skeptic.
Yeah.
And back in 2012, I think our country was going through a lot of transition. The world was going through a lot of transition because it was the ending of the Mayan calendar,
Right. Right.
and I think my husband and I were also going through some transitions. We're moving to a different place, and there was a lot kind of going on, and so I was really worried. I tend to be a worrier. I'm not so much not a warrior, but a worrier, so,
Right, right.
so, I can be a warrior too, but back then it was more like a worrier,
Okay.
um, but back in the day, I guess back then I was worried about the planet. I was worried about the economic situation, the political spectrum, what was going on with the planet. And so one night, I think it was in May 2012, I had a sleepless night. I was sending out prayers to the universe that, we needed divine intervention here on Earth. And I prayed to every kind of higher dimensional being I can think of, including the ascended masters, angels, the angelic realm, I don't know, Jesus, Mother Mary,
So you're a
all of
Christian
them.
yourself?
I was raised Roman Catholic. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and also the Galactic brothers and sisters. And I wasn't even sure if they existed. I just kind of threw them in the pile, So, about 2 weeks after I sent off my prayer, and of course nothing happened after that. I thought, oh well, yet another prayer that nobody heard. So
Right.
I had a minor back surgery and I was recovering at home. This was like a few days after the surgery, and I went to sleep as normal. But when I came to, found myself in a different consciousness that I don't even know how to describe it. It was like everything was crystal clear. The colors were brilliant. Everything was so crystal clear and beautiful that I just couldn't believe it. It was, and as I was looking around, it looked like an extraterrestrial starship. I mean, it felt like it was a starship.
What makes you say
But it
that?
wasn't. What's that?
What makes you say that? That
Um,
you think that it was some sort of starship?
Starship. Just the way it was configured, I guess. It
Okay.
seemed like a starship, except it wasn't metallic.
Okay. What kind of
Yeah.
material
So
was it?
what's that?
Do you know what kind of material it was?
It looked like light and plasma. It was some sort of material I have never seen before.
Okay.
It was very fluid. So everything would kind of just, I don't know, would shift and change as needed, which I
Okay.
thought was interesting.
I got you.
And the other thing that I noticed about the ship was that it seemed very organic, like just shifting and changing. And it seemed like it was a sentient being, because it seemed like it was reading my thoughts and it was directing me towards someplace. So I just kind of followed along with the ship, and then I found myself in this big orientation room of some sort.
Okay.
And when I entered the orientation room, I noticed that there were extraterrestrial beings in the orientation room, and these beings didn't look human. Okay, they looked like aliens, but they
Like, did
didn't
they
look
have
like
like?
great aliens. So
Okay,
yeah.
so they didn't have like the big bulbous eyes, and they weren't like little gray men or anything.
No, they had bigger heads, definitely bigger eyes, but their eyes had pupils and irises. So that's what told me they weren't gray aliens, because usually with the grays, you just see kind of the black eyes. They looked smaller. I mean, they were probably about my height. I'm about 5 foot,
Right.
maybe even smaller than that. But they had huge auras. Their auras were huge, and they had multicolors in their auras. Their auras were so bright, I couldn't even look at them directly. I had to kind of glance at them
Okay.
on my periphery,
Right.
But they seemed like really beautiful beings, and I wasn't afraid because they were emitting all this love energy. It was they just seem kindly and and loving. I don't know, I know it sounds kind of dorky, but that was my impression.
Okay.
But so I was trying to figure out what the heck's going on, I mean, what is this? And I was formulating questions in my head. And before I could even ask the questions out loud, they were answering my questions through telepathy.
Wow.
So I was asking, where am I? What is this? Uh, who are you? Why am I here? The typical questions.
Yep.
And they were answering them really quickly. And I was surprised that they understood my language, because I was speaking English, and
And were
they
you
were
speaking
responding.
aloud, or were you just thinking these questions?
No, I didn't even speak them aloud. I was
Okay.
just thinking of them. And even before I could finish the question, they were answering my questions.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So it was through telepathy of some sort.
Right. Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Yeah. And at first I was kind of surprised, like, what's going on? I can speak telepathy, what's going on here? And they were responding to me in English, I mean, or some sort of translation through telepathy. I don't know, but then basically they were answering my questions, saying that they were Arcturians from Arcturus. And they even had like a hologram within the room that showed me where Arcturus was located on a star map. And it was really pretty expansive experience. I mean, because as they were speaking to me, they were using the hologram to, I guess, visually illustrate what they were telling me. So it was really amazing. And I asked a lot of questions. It felt like I was there for a long time. I was just asking one question after another, and it was mostly about what's happening on planet Earth. What's the significance of religion? What's the significance of politics? Why are things the way they are? And they answered me very patiently. And they did have a sense of humor. Like sometimes they'd crack a joke here and there, which I thought was kind of cute. It made me feel like, they were good beings, they weren't, negative beings. But basically what they told me was that everything on planet Earth in the third dimension is an illusion. So, and they said this to me like 5 times. They used the word illusion, which I didn't understand at the time, but now I kind of understand it. The thing about being in the higher realms, like when I was in that ship, it was definitely a higher dimension. Everything is crystal clear. It's like, it's even more clear than how you and I are seeing each other right now. And you see like energy coming off of things, and you're seeing, colors, brilliant colors. It's almost trippy, but it isn't. It just feels like everything is, the frequencies are more amplified, and I call it kind of like a hyper reality, like things seem like they're hyper real instead of just real, or 3D real, so just to kind of give us some time with other questions, I'm going to kind of speed up the story a little bit.
No problem.
But basically these beings showed me around the ship. The ship was huge. It was city sized. There was other types of extraterrestrial beings on board the ship. There was like hundreds of them. And they took me to one room that they called the sleeping room. And when I walked in, the room turned purple and it showed Asian landscapes. And I was like, what's this? And they said, well, it's what you find relaxing. So the room is responding to you. And then they kind of let me loose, and I was kind of wandering the ship on my own. And I came upon this huge atrium, which was kind of like the center point of the ship. And it was kind of like a converging point because there was many different levels, and there was hundreds of extraterrestrial beings. And what I noticed was most of the extraterrestrial beings looked humanoid, at least on board this ship. So you didn't see any crazy beings like you would see like in, say, Star Wars or something. Most of them looked more or less humanoid, I would say, with I have variations in skin tone or height, but you can definitely tell they weren't Earth humans. They were extraterrestrials. And the atrium had light shafts that would take these beings from one end of the room to another kind of randomly. And I saw the light shaft and I thought, wow, it'd be so cool to ride on one of those and see where it takes me,
Yeah.
So I got onto one of the light shafts and it kept throwing me off. Like I couldn't figure out, why is it throwing me off? Everybody else is getting on there and, transporting themselves,
Right.
So there was a being that looked Pleiadian, now that I know more about extraterrestrials, I could probably, he looked like a Pleiadian being. He never told me he was Pleiadian, but when I got thrown off the third time, he caught me, and I looked up and I saw him, and he telepathically told me, "You're not doing it correctly. You need to think about where you want to go first before you step on the light shaft." And the light shafts kind of looked like rainbow color. It was really kind of pretty, but and I said, okay, I guess I'll do it your way, because obviously you know what you're doing.
Right.
And so I set an intention of, I want to go exactly there. And I stepped on the light shaft and it was transporting me across this big space. And the next thing I knew, I woke up and I was in my bed. I believe it was an out of body experience.
Okay.
So I wasn't like physically there. Maybe my consciousness was there.
Right.
But when I looked at myself, when I was on board the ship, I looked like myself. I mean, I had a body, my body looked like my body. I was looking at my hands looked like my hands.
You
But
didn't see any other humans there?
Not Earth humans. No.
Okay.
Right. I did see humanoids, but not Earth humans.
Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, your story. So basically, after this experience, you essentially started on the work that you do today. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, it took a while. I think after this happened, I didn't really tell very many people, except for maybe my husband and a couple of friends.
Right.
And because I was just trying to figure out what happened. I thought maybe I'd gone crazy or something.
Yeah.
And
right.
And I think it took a couple of years for me to process what happened to me and to get more information. I did a lot of research on my own, and I started taking a lot of spiritual classes to kind of understand, I think the concepts of spirituality and how this all kind of fits in. And I went through a period of depression. When you're in the higher dimensional realms, it's kind of like similar to going through an NDE where, you've died and you're in some other realm, and then you get transported back to 3D, and then you're really depressed for a while because you got to experience the higher dimensions. That's kind of what happened to me, where I fell into a depression because I didn't really want to be back. I would rather be there. So. But yeah, I think eventually I started realizing that my extrasensory perception was increasing like 100-fold. Like I was starting to see auras. I was starting to sometimes read people's thoughts. Sometimes I was picking up information. I was getting downloads of galactic information. All of a sudden, I knew about astronomy. I knew about all these different star systems, and never really studied them. Never studied astronomy.
Right.
And it was just like, where is this information coming from? And so, and eventually, I started taking more and more classes, and I took some classes in my hometown in Colorado. I live in Castle Rock, which is just south of Denver. And I was talking to my spiritual teacher, and she mentioned that she thought I was getting information from the Akashic records. And I didn't even know at that time what the Akashic records were. And then she suggested that maybe I take an Akashic records reading course, which I did, and I just found I had a natural ability for it. So that's kind of what got me. So it started.
Okay.
into doing this work. Yeah.
All right. Interesting. Well, that's definitely for sure. If I had an experience like you, I definitely would be in the same boat of needing to know, what happened to me, what I experienced, whether it was
Oh yeah,
true.
yeah.
That's a pretty life-changing experience if if it's a true experience for sure.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so I like to do these little thought experiments, and if you don't
Okay,
mind, I'd
gotcha.
like
Okay,
to do one with you.
okay.
Um, okay, so on a scale from 0 to 100%, how confident are you that you really had an extraterrestrial contact experience? Like where 100% being there's no doubt in my mind, 100% there's nothing that could change my mind, and 0% being there's absolutely no way. Where would you put yourself on that scale?
100%.
100%. Okay. What makes you, I guess I kind of know what makes you so confident, but yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of know. Is there anything that could change your mind?
I guess if there was like tangible proof that maybe I was just having a crazy dream,
Right,
or
right.
or that maybe there was some biochemical reason why I had this
Mhm.
experience, then I would doubt it. But just from the research I've done, and from I guess my own inner work, and how my life dramatically changed
Mhm.
after that experience, I would say 100%.
Okay,
Yeah,
interesting. Okay.
yeah.
And then I'll just throw one more small thought experiment in there. So
Okay, gotcha.
if I just like to do these. So if I said that I had a red Lamborghini, would
Hmm.
you believe me?
um I wouldn't have any reason not to believe you, because I don't know what kind of car you have. So
Right, right.
yeah.
Okay. What
So
if I pulled out my keys and there was the nice shiny Lamborghini emblem on this set of keys? Would your confidence change at all?
um I mean, there would be some doubt, but
Okay. What
I
if
mean,
I
'cause
took
I
the
don't know.
keys
I
and
don't know.
I
You
I
might be a
clicked them?
millionaire or something, and you might have a Lamborghini. But I mean,
Sure.
there'd be a little bit of doubt until I saw it.
Okay. All right.
But I mean, you could just have a Lamborghini keychain. I've seen
Okay.
people do that before.
All
But
right. Now, what if, all right, last one is if I brought you out to the parking lot and I
hmm
took the keys out and I clicked it and you heard the little beep beep,
hmm
would you believe me?
yeah, probably. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Interesting. That's pretty much it. That's the whole experiment.
Okay,
It's
okay.
not like
Yeah,
a
no,
gotcha or anything like that. It's just a
no,
simple, it's
no.
to
I
kind
think,
of test to see where someone gauges their like faith to evidence kind of
yeah, no, I get
state,
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's just
honestly, I
fine.
don't really have any tangible proof of what
Sure.
happened.
Yeah.
And I don't think most, extraterrestrial, abductees do have any tangible proof. It's
Right.
basically, their story, and it's up to, I guess, whoever hears their story whether or not they choose, as a conscious being, to believe them.
Okay.
So, and I
Do you
always
think,
tell people, you don't have to believe me. I mean,
right.
it's my experience. It's
Yeah.
what I've been telling the story, now for since 2012.
Yeah.
But it's my experience. But yeah, I do think something happened. I
Okay.
think just because of the way things looked when I was there, it was
Right.
so crystal clear. It was so and just the way I felt afterwards, and how it changed me, that I do think something happened.
Okay.
But yeah.
So you are able to currently access the Akashic records, like you're able
Oh yeah, I
to
do it all.
actually
I do it
access those.
every day. Every
Okay.
day. Yeah.
Have you now I'm just asking these questions because I myself, I mean, I'm a skeptic myself. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
gotcha.
exactly
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
believe in. I just like to ask people questions and maybe they
yeah,
know some information that I don't that might change my mind.
yeah.
Um, so have you ever tried like getting hooked up to any type of medical equipment and then accessing the Akashic records while you're connected to this medical equipment to see how your levels may be affected? and maybe we're
No, but
actually
that
able
would
to
be a
test it.
really super cool
Yeah.
experiment.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I feel like that'd be really interesting content for you, if maybe you did that for one of your programs or something like that, and maybe find some really crazy stuff. But
Yeah, no, it would be, yeah, no, I would be up for doing something like that because I think that would be super cool to see
for
if
sure.
anything changed or, if it's, basically stuff that just I think is happening, but no, I think they've done experiments like that before when people have been meditating and they
Mhm.
find, changes in the brain, so
Right.
so
Okay.
to me, connecting with the Akashic records is not a whole lot unlike meditating. So I
Okay.
would imagine that there would be some brain changes, but I don't know. I mean, we haven't tried it yet. So but
Okay.
yeah, I'd
Yeah.
be down for that. Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
totally.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure exactly what even the protocol would be or what we would hook you up to or anything. I'm no doctor myself, but I don't know. I just thought it might be something interesting for you to try out maybe in the future.
I'll have to ask my doctor friends if
Yeah. There you go.
ask them if they know what kind of equipment and if it's even feasible that we could ever do an experiment like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that would be cool to put like on a video or something. And
Yeah.
yeah,
So I guess so you help other people out with the Akashic
yeah,
records. You
yeah,
do Akashic readings for other people.
absolutely,
Um,
yes.
how exactly does that work?
Okay, that's a great
Is it like
question.
a short? I mean, if it's too long,
Oh
the
no, no,
short
it's
answer.
not a long answer. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, you're all right.
Mm. So so basically what I do is I do like a little bit of a ritual in the beginning where um I'm creating this like shaft of light between myself and the higher realms, um and I'm usually connecting with that person's heart space. So I connect my heart chakra with theirs, and it's all kind of energetic. Uh, then I do a little bit of a space clearing because, obviously we just want higher vibrations around us. And then I do the traditional pathway prayer process where I use the person's full name and their birth date to access their records. And usually I feel like a little bit of an energetic shift in my head when I know that I've connected. It's
Hmm.
kind of hard to explain. It's like a little bit of a tingling or a
Yeah,
twitch
like a
or
click type of thing.
like a click or
Yeah.
yeah, and then boom, I'm in their records.
Hmm.
And
What exactly do
usually
you
it kind of
see then?
plays out like a movie. It's
Okay.
like picking out a video on Netflix
Interesting.
and you're seeing a movie, and so I'm just observing that person's movie pretty much.
Okay. So do
Yeah.
you like read those and then essentially tell people like what do you tell people from watching these experiences in their records? What exactly do you convey to the people?
Um, for the most part, I'm, with the style, I guess, or the, my process or the style I do these readings. I'm trying to start at the very beginning. So it's kind of like I'm rewinding, their Akashic record to when they were first had their first inception as a soul,
Okay.
uh, and where was the first place they had a physical incarnation in? What was the beginning of their story? And because I'm a galactic Akashic reader, I go way beyond Earth records. So I
Okay.
go into, maybe when their soul was first formulating as part of an oversoul or,
Hmm.
something like that. And then where did they incarnate into? What star systems, what dimensions, what were they doing?
Hmm. Hmm.
What were they like? What did they look like? And the majority of us were kind of like etheric souls that I think in the beginning we were separated from source, and we were looking to have different experiences. So becoming more physical was really exciting to us back
Hmm.
in those days. Nowadays we look back and it's like, God, I wish I was, light being again, or I wish I was this or that. And but back then it was like, it was really exciting to be physical because it was a new experience.
Right,
And it
right.
was, so a lot of people, most of the people I work with, because most of us here on Earth, we're connected with certain star systems. So I usually tend to work with the same 10 or 15 star systems, even though there's probably hundreds of thousands of star systems
Yeah.
and extraterrestrial beings out there. These are the ones that are most invested in, the Earth experience. So,
Okay.
and I do believe that a lot of us that have incarnated on planet Earth at this time, I wouldn't say every single person, but a lot of us are older souls that came originally from other star systems, that are, or at least our soul came from other star systems or had experiences in other star systems. So a lot of times my clients want to know, where am I from? What am I like? What's my skills? What's my, life purpose? So these are the type of questions I'm answering for them. And this reading can be very much life-changing.
Yeah.
Because
Have you
now
ever,
you have a perception. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I was gonna ask, have you ever been wrong on an Akashic reading? Like, have you ever read something from somebody, or they said that doesn't resonate with me, or that doesn't sound, is there like
Yeah,
a
I would
level
say
of
there was a
inaccuracy?
handful of times. I'm human. I'm not perfect.
Okay.
I don't get it right every time. I'll be the first to admit that. Okay. Yeah, there's been a handful of times where people have told me, I don't like what you told me, or
Mhm.
I don't resonate with it, or and it's kind of like, I just tell them, hey, I'm human. I'm sorry you had a bad experience.
Yeah.
But I would say I would say 97% of the time people have say they love their readings. They really resonate with it. They feel that they got something of value from it. So I would say
Okay.
I get mostly positive feedback, not occasionally some negative, but not very often. Yeah.
Okay. Do
Yeah.
you think that it's possible that someone could take what you say maybe the wrong way and act, I guess, negatively towards the information that you've told them?
Mm, I'm not sure what you mean by take it the wrong way.
Well, I'm not 100% sure on exactly how you
Yeah.
convey your readings to people, but I guess is there do people take things? I guess if you say something to them, could they take it um, as a negative thing?
Oh yeah, this happened before.
Okay.
Yeah. I wouldn't say very often. Recently I had a client that I think she was asking me, am I gonna, she was estranged from her son, and she asked
Mhm.
if she was gonna reconnect with him. And I told him it wasn't going to happen for a while. And she
Mhm.
got really upset at my
Yeah.
answer. So,
Okay.
yeah, I guess it can happen. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the reason I ask that is because I think that honestly, for me, if it works for you, go ahead and do it. I don't, even though I'm a skeptic and an atheist and all this, and
Yeah.
I still think people should do whatever is going to make them happy in the end.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
do you think that it's possible that you could be telling people these experiences and not quite sure where I was going with that. You could tell these people these experiences and they're not, I guess, wanting to believe you. Do they, why
Um,
should they believe just this person who says that they can access the records of their ancestors? Is there a way that we can verify that you would be telling them the truth?
well, I guess it's based on whether or not somebody resonates with the work I do.
Okay.
Okay. So most people that come to me resonate either through listening to me on Gaia,
Yeah.
or some interview. There's something about what I say during my interviews, or maybe they see my website or whatever, that sparks an interest or sparks something that they want to know more. Okay.
Okay.
So to me, it's more of an energetic thing.
Okay.
That, maybe not, that don't necessarily have proof that, oh yeah, everything I'm telling you is, exactly 100% true.
Right.
But a lot of times how I see it, and I know, and I always tell my clients this, what I'm telling you is my interpretation of what I'm getting from the records, so maybe it's not 100% true, but because it's going through the filter of my frame of reference, what I'm saying? Because I'm
Mhm.
having to interpret what I'm seeing, but and usually I'll tell them that, say, hey, this is just my interpretation of what I'm seeing in your records, but this is what I'm seeing. This is how I'm seeing it. So they know that there's some room for, I guess, interpretation,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that would lead me into my next question, which would be if,
Okay.
let's say I went to you and you did an Akashic reading for me and I just didn't believe a word you said, how can I learn to channel if I wanted to know through my own interpretation? Is there a way, can anyone channel the Akashic records?
Oh, absolutely. I
Okay.
tell people that all the time. It's like I don't really have. It's not like I have any special abilities beyond anybody else. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know. For some reason, there was something that was activated in me after my extraterrestrial contact experience. But I believe that these are skills that all humans are going to have. When we develop them, or when we practice them. So
Right.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm hoping to teach a galactic Akashic reading course by the end of this year. So that other people can do exactly what I do. And it's mainly practice. There is like a ritual aspect of it where, you're connecting your energies to the higher realms,
Mhm.
and obviously you want to keep your vibration really high, so that you can meet those, higher realms, on some level. But yeah, it's not hard. I mean, that's
Okay.
I think it just takes practice, because usually what happens is people will access the records and they'll get a flood of images and information, and they have a hard time interpreting all of it because it's too much all at once.
Gotcha.
So a lot of times what I'm trying to train people in doing is, just take one image and just follow the story of that image rather than trying to figure out everything that's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
But
gotcha.
yeah, you absolutely can do it. I
Excellent.
have no doubt. Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask, do you believe in like an afterlife? Or do you think that it's I guess essentially just reincarnation? Right when you
I
die.
do believe it. Obviously, with the kind of work I do believe in reincarnation.
Okay.
But yeah, I do think there's an afterlife. I do think there's a reincarnation, process. Um, and there's certain, I guess, interdimensional beings that are involved with this process. Whether you want to call them angels or higher
Right.
dimensional beings or whatever. But yeah, I do believe in that. Yeah.
Okay. And so I'm not at all trying to be rude. This is a question that someone wanted me to ask you. Is
Okay.
have you after you had that ET experience, did you sought after any psychiatric evaluations or
Mhm.
did you okay, you did?
No, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've gone to therapy. I've
Okay.
talked to psychotherapists, and usually, they say I'm mentally okay.
Okay.
So yeah,
Sure.
I mean, it's not like I'm a military veteran. I've had a long
Oh,
time career
awesome.
working in public health, and so I would say I'm a credible witness, I
Yeah.
guess, or a credible person. But I have a long time relationship with my husband, and so by all any means, I'm probably would you would look at me and think, gosh, she looks like a normal person.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um,
Because I mean, I'll say I've talked to a couple people that have had similar experiences to yours,
yeah.
and like they're different and how I don't know how to put it as to like they present themselves differently, but like if I were to just meet you on the street, I wouldn't think that you have these abilities or had this
Oh
experience
no,
or
yeah. I
anything
mean,
like that. It's
yeah.
very
A lot of
interesting.
people, I think a lot of people come to me because I seem so normal,
Yeah,
Yeah. I
very down to
mean,
earth.
yeah, like they say yeah, you seem really down to earth. You're a Navy veteran, you have a college degree, you do this and that, you have all these accomplishments, earthly accomplishments.
Yeah,
And and so I think that's what helps them maybe to make me a little more trustworthy, maybe,
yeah.
that I am, trying to be authentic. A lot of people call me the real deal. I
Okay.
think I'm the real deal, but I don't know, maybe other people that don't believe in this would think I'm pretty wacky, but yeah, I've gone to therapy, I've talked to psychotherapists about my experience. And a lot of times they don't really have an explanation for it. They just say, it was an interesting experience, and
Do you think
obviously
that
it
it's
made, it
possible?
changed you in some way. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that
I'm
it's
sorry.
possible that you could have clinged on to this narrative of an ET contact because you were going through some hard times, you were going through some depression back in the 2010s, and you were scared with the Mayan calendar and all that craziness that went on around that time. Is it possible that you could have clinged on to this narrative out of fear?
It's possible, but the experience was so fantastic. I don't think I could have made it up.
Okay.
It was just so, I mean, just even the details of what happened. I mean, what I told you was kind of like just a brief overview of the
Yeah, yeah.
story, but
Right. And I mean,
um
I've heard most of your story. Like I listened to a couple podcasts that
yeah,
you've
yeah,
been on,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I've heard your story a couple times.
yeah.
But yeah,
It was just like, when I think back on it, I think I don't think I could have made that up. I mean, I don't have that good of an imagination, but yeah, it's possible. I mean, I think anything's possible. I
yeah,
mean, and I wouldn't rule anything out at this point,
sure.
um, but but I do believe something happened. Whether or not it was really an ET contact experience or whether it was some sort of interdimensional experience. So
Okay.
yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about this too. What are your thoughts on the current, or do you watch like the news, or are you with the media and everything right now? I don't know. Do you watch TV?
I try to avoid mainstream media,
Okay. I
honestly,
was just
because
gonna ask because I don't know if you're familiar with the current like UFO, UAP phenomena going on right now with
yeah.
the different videos and abduction cases. What are
Oh
your
yeah. Oh yeah.
thoughts on the current phenomena with like this UFO report supposedly being released sometime this month, and with all these crazy videos of UFOs? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Um, well, I think we're going through a process of maybe being exposed to a lot more disclosure now than we've had in the past. Okay. I think in the past, these things were happening, but it was being hidden.
Hmm.
And now, because I think more people are awakening, more people are asking questions, more people are interested in the paranormal and in UFOs, that I think people, these governmental agencies are being forced, their hands are being forced. They have to start releasing some more of this information. And I think a lot of people personally are having their own ET contact experiences. I hear it a lot from my clients. I would say at least 60% of my clients had some sort of, if not similar to mine, something, like what I went through.
Okay.
So I think even people in themselves are, they're seeing UFOs or they're having some form of a contact with, alternate dimensional beings.
Okay.
As probably the reason why a lot of people come to me for readings, because they want to have some sort of explanation of what happened to them.
Right. Right.
And a lot of times through the records, I can kind of see what happened to them. It's amazing. It's amazing the information you can get from the records.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, why would there's been an absurd amount of like alien ET, contact and
Oh
abduction
yeah, absolutely.
cases and
Yeah.
everything like that. Why would some cases mention the Akashic records and some others? Because people like Travis Walton's abduction case, I don't know if you're familiar with that. Like
Oh,
he
I'm
had a
very
pretty
familiar with it. I
vivid,
actually heard him speak once. So
really,
yeah.
I'm so jealous of that.
Yeah,
But
he's pretty awesome.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to get him on the show to have a conversation with him, but I haven't gotten a response back yet.
Yeah, gotcha.
Travis,
Okay.
if you're listening, come on my show. But
Yeah.
um, anyways, he didn't mention anything about the Akashic records. So do you think that the aliens forgot to tell him about the Akashic records, or do you think that they might have known about it at all?
Um, well, his experience was more negative. Okay.
Right.
And then my experience, so in the spectrum of, I guess ET contact experiences, his was negative and mine was like extremely positive. I mean, it was like, like two opposite ends of the spectrum. So he probably didn't even get a chance to ask questions of these beings,
Yeah.
about the Akashic records. And maybe they just felt like he didn't have a need to know, so just never came up. And even, when when I was conversing with the Arcturians on board, the starship that, I guess I say that I was on, but they mentioned the Akashic records a couple of times, but I didn't even know what they were talking about at the time. I just remembered the
Right.
word, but at the time I was still trying to, I think figure out what the heck was going on,
Yeah.
so I didn't even know what the Akashic records were until I would say, so my experience was in 2012, I would say until 2014. Then I knew what they were.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
So I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but do you have like a religious standpoint right now? Are you religious at all at the moment, or
I don't consider myself religious.
okay.
I was brought up Roman Catholic, but I think even when I was growing up, I questioned religion a lot.
Mhm.
It to me seemed a lot of it was kind of man-based interpretations of maybe certain events that happened in the past that they attributed to, godlike beings or whatever. But I do think, because I do actually I did I went to a Christian university, so I did take courses in New Testament and Old Testament.
Okay.
I've read the Bible
Nice.
quite a few times, but I do think some of the stories that are in the Bible do have a basis in truth. They might have been allegorical, or they might have been, maybe, events that have occurred. But it was mainly kind of the interpretation of the writers, so it's kind of like me accessing the records, maybe I'm interpreting things through my frame of reference. They're interpreting, these events through their frame of reference. And so, but I do think that, some of the stories in the Bible and other religious texts, like the Bhagavad Gita, or, some of the other, the Islamic and Hindu Vedic texts probably have some basis in truth, because it's probably something that happened that people were just trying to interpret and trying to understand what happened.
Okay. Yeah. That's really interesting. And I mean, that kind of leads back to like my my Lamborghini example a little bit.
Yeah, gotcha.
It's like, people can say things, but it's like it kind of is almost up to you whether you want to believe it or not.
Oh yeah,
it's
absolutely.
that person telling you that experience, and how trustworthy is that person. But yeah, that was just kind of where I was getting at. But
oh yeah, no, I think it's and I tell people all the time, you don't have to believe me. It doesn't hurt my feelings if you don't believe me. But for some reason, my story resonates with enough people where they want to work with me. So, or they feel like
I would
have
love
something
to at
tell
some point get a reading from you just to kind of see, because I got a psychic reading. I like paid for psychic reading. Me and my wife got psychic readings. I did an episode on that, and
yeah.
I don't know. It didn't really she was kind of a medium of sorts.
Yeah,
She saw
gotcha.
these
Yeah.
spirit guides standing behind me, and stuff like that. And just the information that she was conveying to me wasn't, I guess, compelling. It
Okay.
wasn't, I was hoping to go in there and learn something that would change my mind essentially.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
So I mean, I would love to do a reading with you at some point.
Oh,
And
yeah. No, I think it would be fun.
yeah,
Yeah. I
I mean,
mean,
so
because I've done a readings a few times for people that are skeptics, and I would say more often than not, they would say like, "Oh yeah, there is something that resonates. There's something
mhm,
about what you're saying, even though maybe they're not totally on board with the whole starseed phenomena or
yeah,
anything like that." A lot of times they'll say things like, "Oh yeah, there's something what you tell me that does resonate. It does, align with who I am." And
right.
yeah, so yeah, it would be fun. Yeah, we'll have to set that up at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to scroll through my notes here. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, that's essentially all I've got. I guess just one quick question is there any books or websites or workshops or anything like that that you're working on that you maybe want to let the audience know to keep an eye out for, and maybe where to
Oh
find you on
yeah,
social
no.
media?
Yeah, no, I think that would be great. If people are interested in the work that I do have a website. It's actually a really nicely done website. I mean, even if I say so myself, but it's DebbieSolaris.com. So DebbieSolaras.com. There's a big galactic history section in there that people can read about the galactic history of different star systems. People really seem to love that. Uh, I'm not taking readings quite at the moment, but I will be opening my calendar up probably sometime next week. So if you're on my site, just go to the booking page, sign up to be notified. And usually, I tell you what, it kind of amazes me, but my readings are so popular that I get booked out for 2 months within 2 hours. I mean,
Wow.
it's insane. I mean, I have people
Yeah.
every day asking me, when are you going to open your calendar? When are you going to open your calendar? And I'm like, holy cow,
It's
it's
like I
like,
just did.
yeah, I just opened my calendar. I can't take any more people,
Right.
so yeah, I
Um,
mean, it's just
yeah.
crazy. I mean, I think when I had my first, when my show on Beyond Belief first aired on Gaia back in October, I think within a couple of days, I was booked out for 6 months. It was
Wow.
insane.
I
But
really
now we're trying to do it in increments, so I don't. So at least my husband and I can take vacation every now and then, so I can plan my schedule a little better. But yeah, other people, I mean, the other thing they might want to check out is I do have a training page under offerings on my website. So if you want to take trainings, we just have one webinar on there right now. It's kind of like a pay per view. So you just kind of pay your $44 and you get to watch, my little webinar. We're going to be doing more of those. As that the first one was so popular that we just kind of put the video on Kajabi so people can access it all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
I also have a YouTube channel, so if you type Debbie Solaris, you'll find me. And if you want to know what a reading with me is really like, go on that YouTube channel and listen to the videos, and you'll get a really good idea of what the readings are like. And they're pretty detailed. I mean, I don't know how I channel in this information. I still don't really have an explanation of how I do what I do, but so sometimes I'll listen to a recording afterwards. I'm like, holy cow, did I say all that? It's like, oh my God, it's like, what was I talking about? I
Right.
mean, it's just like, it just kind of channels in,
Very cool.
but they do tend to be really detailed. And of course, there's the Gaia shows.
Mhm.
So next week you'll be able to see me on Open Minds with Regina
Yes.
Meredith. I'll be we're talking mostly about galactic history, which is pretty cool.
Mhm.
With George, with his show, I talked mostly about I think my ET contact experience. So
Mhm.
it's more focused on
Yeah.
that. I think on the next show I'm doing with him, we're going to talk more about galactic Akashic readings and how that
Very cool.
impacts people's lives. So it'll be a little bit of a different topic, but
Very cool.
but yeah, you can definitely, and I'm on Instagram and Facebook. So, so you can find me. Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, I'll make sure to link everything that you said in the description of the podcast. And if this ends up going up on YouTube, I'll make sure to put it in the YouTube description and everything. And that's pretty much going to be the show for today. But I mean, thank you, Debbie, so much for coming in today. I really had a great time learning more about you and the work that you do. And I think it's really interesting stuff. And whether I believe it or not, or whether whoever listening to this believes it or not, I think that you're doing some pretty good stuff. I think it's
Thank
not
you.
causing any harm to anybody. If it's helping people through hard times, just let you do it, like, you do.
That's
you,
how
right?
I see it. That's how I see it too. It's like whether or not what I do is real or not real, if it's helping people, if it's, helping them improve their lives, then,
Yeah.
I think why not? I mean, even if people think I'm weird or crazy or whatever, I proudly fly my starseed freak flag, so,
There you go.
so,
I'm
so
gonna have
I
to
just,
order me one of those. But
yeah, no, yeah, I have one. Yeah. So,
Right.
but no, I think it's, it's all good. It's helping people to feel good about themselves. It's empowering them. It's giving them the courage to change their lives for the better. It's like, why not, so,
Sure.
and I appreciate your open mind in all of this. And I appreciate your patience with the technical issues we had earlier. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem at
But
all. I hope to have you on again, and maybe I can, I'm gonna do some more researching on you. I'm not done researching you yet, so I'm gonna do some more reading
okay.
on you. And maybe if I come across something else interesting in your work and on your websites and through YouTube videos, I might have to have you on again. We can have a little bit of a different conversation about some stuff.
Yeah,
But
that'll be fun. Yeah, no,
absolutely.
I really enjoyed being on here with you as well. So thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Debbie. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna let you go for today, but I'll talk to you later. All right.
All right, take care.
All right.
Bye-bye,
Bye.
everybody.